The flying president, President William Ruto, has gone out of the country again, and this time it's to South Korea to participate in the South Korea Africa Summit. Hello, I am Mahlet, Ayele, your host at Connect Africa, bringing you the latest from the continent. Now, it's what we remember last week. For the most part of last week, the president has been out of the country on the most talked, most controversial trip, his expensive trip to the US, where more than 200 million Kenyan shilling were paid by paying more than 1.2 million US dollar per day for his rented jet. Now he just came back a few days after. He is gone again to South Korea to participate in the South Korea Africa Summit. Now, William Ruto continues to be controversial president, where he only does the talk but not walking his talk. He appears to be in his talk as a Pan-African leader, but you find him doing completely different. We have come here and reported so many things that he said and he didn't do. But in this specific video, I'm going to look at a couple of things. First of all, he is the one that we have heard him right after he came to power. It's just more than a year, where he was talking that the African leaders have to stop flying, being summoned by a non-African leaders to participate in whatever Africa summit. It could be US Africa, Turkey Africa, China Africa. So he said we have to stop that, and only few representatives have to be there. But again and again, you find him participating in those summits and not doing anything. Now, let me invite you. He said this in one conference when he came to power with regards to being summoned by non-African leaders. Let's listen to it together.
This is not some of the time, the most unfortunate thing is that some of the people who invite us to these meetings tell us, if you don't come, there will be consequences. So all of us are forced to go to a meeting that has no meaningful outcome because of blackmail. This is not right, good people. This.
Yeah, so you see him, he said, this is not right and we have to stop. And there was another one, there was in Nairobi, where he talked, at the Mo Ibrahim Foundation meeting, I think, in Nairobi, where he clearly said, this is going to stop. And this is one of the things that the areas that he will work on, as a sitting president. Now, another thing is that, the reason that they went is, of course, okay, for the South Africa summit, but he said for bilateral relation to finalize some of the agreements that it has been made during his last visit to South Korea with the South Korean government, not to finalize that. Now, that includes a number of things. Look, these are the things that he is, according to him, they will sign an agreement. But the main thing, what you have to know is, this is where, this kind of summit, you go, okay, you get, a multinational or international partners where you can do maybe a sideline meeting, but not really for the bilateral strengthening trip, not that kind of meeting. I don't know why he has to say that. Perhaps he's ashamed of, because he's the one who advocated against being summoned by non-African leaders for such kind of summit. So anyway, it says in a statement, State House spokesperson Hussein Mohammed of the Kenyan government said at the summit, Africa and South Korea will discuss areas of mutual interest, including trade promotion, industrialization, infrastructure development, and job creation. Now, let's focus now on this job creation and development. Now, in terms of job creation, look, the discussion, he said that he will also finalize one agreement in terms of job creation where Kenya will supply skilled manpower to South Korea. He said we will send them there and they will bring foreign currency. Now, this man is also known, meaning William Ruto, for talking about advocating, promoting the African Continental Free Trade Area. And now, the African Continental Free Trade Area will, enable African states to trade amongst themselves, like intra-state trade, the intra-trade within the continent. Now, but he's talking about now here, including trade promotion, development, and job creation. Okay, first of all, trades are more important. Okay, it's good, you can do trade, you can trade outside of the continent, but more trade is needed within the continent. Then it will save you to spend that expensive US dollar that you get by devaluing your own currency. Secondly, if we are promoting the African Continental Free Trade Area, then that will also save us not to use US dollar or euro or whatever. It will allow you to trade with your own currency, which is the Pan-African payment system. The same thing if you are a member of BRICS. Also, BRICS allow you to do international trade with your own currency. But of course, Kenya is one of the countries that ditched BRICS when, during the last meeting of BRICS in South Africa in August 2023, where new members were accepted, right? At that time, because it was in Africa, South Africa hosted it, and South Africa sent to all African leaders to participate. And guess what? Who ditched it? It was Kenya and Nigeria. But we all know how their relationship is with the West, meaning Kenya and Nigeria, so that they don't want to disappoint their neo-colonizers. Okay, so this is what he said with regards to sending people. Now, climate change and others are also amongst it. And let me read. These topics align with, meaning that the discussion in the summit, the South Korea summit. These topics align with President Ruto's role as the African Union champion for institutional reform and chair of the Committee of African Heads of State and Government on Climate Change. Now, during his visit, President Ruto will hold bilateral talks. This is where the controversial thing comes. Bilateral talks with President Yoon Suk Yeol to review the progress of the shilling 132 billion framework arrangement partnership agreed upon during his last visit in November 2022. Now, this will allow for Kenya projects, including like water and irrigation, agriculture, infrastructure, and creative economy. Now, also what's happening is agreements worth of 40 billion Kenyan shilling will be concluded to create opportunities in Kenyan creative economy, and the Kenyan shilling 25 billion for water, irrigation, and for water and irrigation projects. Also, now, further, Kenya and South Korea are expected to finalize labor migration program, potentially making Kenya one of the few African countries approved for labor supply under the South Korea Employment Permit System. So the trip will also set the stage for Kenya and South Korea to initiate negotiations for an economic partnership agreement between the two countries. So in this, he said, the skilled manpower of Kenyans will be supplied to South Korea, as if Kenya do not need its own skilled manpower. Now, in terms of development, there is an interesting comment I would like to read for you, like where the conception of development is really misperceived in a way. And what's happening is that still we Africans are stuck. We have recognized, okay, we can develop ourselves within, the natural resources that are in the country, but we are stuck we are not able yet to change that ideology that we believed, okay, we can develop ourselves using our own natural resources to really do that thing practically. That is really something, I noticed. But anyway, let us know in the comment section, what do you think of Ruto's trip? Yet again, after having that expensive trip last week, again, he's out to South Korea. It's not yet disclosed whether he used his own, national airways, meaning the Kenyan Airways, or something else. That will be something we will, bring you later. But thanks again for tuning in. Please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Let us know in the comment section, what do you think of this continued Ruto trip? He's known as to be the flying president because he is the most flying president in the continent right now, and also in Kenya, from the presidents ever since their independence. If you like what bring you here, please give it a like and share the video with others. If you want to support us further, you can donate to our PayPal account. You can find it in the pinned comment or in the description section. Thank you. That was it for today. Ciao, ciao.